Session to verify the certificates and count the votes of the electors of the several states for President and Vice President of the United States.
Mr. President, I object because people are horrified by the overwhelming evidence
Section
of Russian
18,
interference
Title
in our
3 of
elections.
the United States Code prohibits debate.
Mr. President, I object to the certificate from the state of Alabama on the grounds that the electoral votes were not, under all of the known circumstances, regularly given, and that the electors were not lawfully certified, especially given the confirmed and illegal activities engaged by the government of Russia designed to interfere with our election and the widespread violations of the Voting Rights Act that unlawfully suppressed thousands of votes in the state of Alabama.
Debate allowed.
I object on behalf of the millions of Americans, including members of the intelligence community,
There is no debate. Debate is prohibited.
Mr. President, I object to the votes for South Carolina because
As the
of the
chair has
Russian
previously
intrusion
ruled,
into the election process
there
of
is
the
no
American people,
debate
as dictated
in the
by
joint
the
session.
intelligence community
Debate
that indicated that they tried to sway
will suspend.
Mr. President, despite grave concerns of the intelligence officials showing
Objection
Russia
cannot be
interfered
received.
with our election, it is signed by myself.
Senator Klobuchar.
Mr. President, I object on the massive voter suppression
Debate
that
is not in
included
order.
counting
Debate is not in order.
ballots that were provisional that denied individuals access to polling
Gentlewoman will
places.
suspend.
I have an objection because 10 of the 29 electoral votes cast by Florida were cast by electors not lawfully certified because they violated Florida's prohibition against dual office holding.
Debate is out of order.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina because of the massive voter suppression and the closing of polling booths.
There is
in
no
the
debate.
early
There is
voting
no
from-
debate.
Mr. President, I object to the certificate from the state of Georgia on the grounds that the electoral votes
There's
were
no
not.
debate. There's no debate.
Mr. President, even as people waited hours
There is
in
no
Georgia.
debate. There is no debate.
Even with the
There is
malfunction
no
of 87
debate in
voting
order.
machines
Is it
at
signed by a
African
senator?
American precincts in Detroit,
Gentlelady.
and grave concerns by intelligence officials showing
I object to a certificate from the state of North Carolina based on violations of the Voting
There is
Rights
no
Act
debate.
and
There is no
confirmed hacking
debate
by
in the
Russian
joint
government.
session.
President, I object to the votes from the state of Wisconsin, which should not be legally certified
No
or
debate.
regularly
Does
given.
the gentlelady,
because in the
does
state-
she-
in the city.
I do not wish to debate. I wish to ask, is there one United States senator who will join me in this letter
There
of
is no
rejection?
debate.
We recently I actually held a demonstration for my colleagues here at the Capitol, where we brought in folks who, before our eyes, hacked election machines. Those that are being used in many states, but are not state-of-the-art from our perspective.
We're very concerned because there's only 3 companies. You could easily hack into them. It makes it seem like all these states are doing different things, but in fact 3 companies are controlling them.
43% of American voters use voting machines that researchers have found have serious security flaws, including backdoors. These companies are accountable to no one. They won't answer basic questions about their cybersecurity practices, and the biggest companies won't answer any questions at all. 5 states have no paper trail, and that means there is no way to prove the numbers the voting machines put out are legitimate. So much for Cybersecurity 101.
And there's no doubt that the Russians did interfere in the election. And I think the interference, although not yet quantified, if fully investigated, would show that Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered on his behalf.
So do you believe President Trump is an illegitimate president?
Based on what I just said, which I can't retract, I would say yes.